Hey everybody, so this is part 2 of the video. As you can see, I've got all the wiring hooked up. It's all been connected now. So the last thing I'm going to do is just simply tie all this up under the dash, but I wanted to show everybody what I did for a brake controller install. There's really not that much room in the Ranger. I'm used to a full-size pickup with a bench seat, so this is more car-like. So what I ended up doing was I ran the wires up and around, and then what I did was I popped out that USB port. So the cable that is there, the USB cable, that unplugs from the back, and then the USB plastic piece pops out. I drilled a hole and I fished the wires up through there. In order to do that, I had to take off this vent. I had to take off that vent piece there just to make it easier. I had to take off this plastic piece underneath the vent. It goes all the way over to here. I had to take off that plastic panel piece and also had to take off that. Then once I did that, I was able to remove this whole thing. The only thing that stays in place when you remove it is the screen. So I took off the whole radio and also the controls for the heat and air conditioning, and then I took off this piece here to be able to hook up the brake controller. Also, when I did that, I also popped out this filler panel here that goes around the shifter. Everything came out real easy. Everything's just plugs. So there's a plug for the four-wheel drive, and then there's two plugs that do the auto start stop, the tow haul, limited slip, and traction control. So once I popped all that out, I had plenty of access. So then I was able to attach the brake controller. So now you can see the brake controller actually sits right in between the two 12-volt chargers, and I still have access down below to store things. And the only thing I'm going to do just to kind of tidy it up is I'm going to put a wrap around the brake controller wires that come out through that little USB snap piece. It literally just snaps in the back. So once you take everything apart, and I do recommend doing that, it'll just make life easier. You'll be able to run the wires really easy. So they pop out down below here. And I actually spliced in a little bit of extra wire because the brake controller connector is not long enough. I've done this setup before on other vehicles. Most recently I did it on my 89 Ram. So I have all this extra coated wire, and that hooks up to the Ford wires over here, which by the way are very short. I mentioned that in the first video. Really poor.